Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really chilling narrative. We're looking at a young woman named Riya, whose family sanctuary completely morphed into an inescapable trap of domestic servitude. It's an intense story about severe domestic abuse, broken trust, and how the very people supposed to protect us can sometimes become our greatest threat. So, what actually happens when your own family becomes your captor? That's the core question we're unpacking today. We're going to examine the completely heartbreaking reality of a stepmother who looked at her daughter not as family, but as a completely disposable financial burden. It really makes you wonder, what happens to a person's psyche when their childhood home becomes a prison? Let's get right into it. Section 1, the perfect facade, deception in the middle of the city. If you were just walking by, Kamla's home projects this ultimate stability. It's right in the middle of the city, you've got these soft curtains blowing in the breeze, little decorative plants, a spotless doorway. It just screams comfort, right? But the reality inside is a whole different story. Hidden just behind that pristine front door is Riya. She's a 22-year-old girl, big beautiful eyes, long black hair, but her smile is just completely gone. Her innocence has been totally overshadowed by a life full of pain. It's this incredibly stark reminder that perfectly manicured exteriors often hide some really intense private suffering. Section 2, a life of servitude, the sudden shift in destiny. Now, you might be wondering how things got so bad. Riya's descent into this hidden nightmare definitely didn't happen overnight. As you can see here, it all started back in her childhood when she tragically lost her biological mother. A few years later, her father remarries a woman named Kamla. And at first, Kamla played the part flawlessly. She was super loving, very caring toward her new stepdaughter. But slowly, this really dark shift happened. Kamla's true face came out. She completely stopped seeing Riya as a daughter and literally started treating her like property, just this massive inconvenience to be managed. Riya was methodically forced into a life of isolated, unpaid servitude right in her own home. And we're not just talking about a few extra chores here. Kamla actively crushed this girl's potential. Riya was actually a brilliant student. She had big dreams of building a better future for herself. But Kamla deliberately sabotaged all of that. Instead of a textbook, Riya was handed a mop. She became completely responsible for literally every single household chore, from the second the sun came up until nightfall. And if she made even the tiniest mistake, Kamla would humiliate her without a shred of mercy. It was absolute psychological torture. Moving on to Section 3, the stranger's arrival, empathy at the doorstep. The tension really peaks one afternoon. The silence of Kamla's spotless house is suddenly broken by a voice at the door begging for food. Kamla, who is incredibly annoyed that her TV show got interrupted, storms over. Standing there is Raju. He's a destitute 27-year-old uneducated beggar covered in dust. He's not looking for any trouble, he's just literally looking to survive. He just wants a single meal. Take a look at this comparison, because the irony here is just massive. The completely destitute stranger actually possesses way more genuine humanity than the wealthy homeowner. Think about it. You've got Raju, messy hair, dusty clothes, but his eyes show this deep mix of honesty, pain, and utter exhaustion. On the flip side, you have Kamla. She's comfortable, living in her nice 2-story home, but she is just dripping with arrogance. She looks at Raju with total disgust, annoyed by his very existence, and eagerly dismisses him, demanding to know why he doesn't just go get a job. But right in the middle of Kamla totally berating this guy, Riya steps outside, and she's holding a simple glass of water. Now, Raju's poverty was obvious, but Riya didn't look at him with any of that arrogance. She just saw someone struggling. By handing him that water, she gave him what might genuinely be the first moment of human empathy he's experienced in years. It's this incredible, fleeting moment where two completely exhausted, oppressed people just recognize the basic humanity in one another. Which brings us to Section 4, the ultimate betrayal, the commodification of Riya. Okay, this is where the story tips into an absolute nightmare. Raju desperately admits he needs help, and Kamla actually laughs at him. It's a cruel, vicious laugh. Then she suddenly grabs Riya's wrist. It's a violent move. She physically pushes her stepdaughter toward this terrified, dusty stranger and drops this incredibly chilling line. "Take her with you. I'm giving you this girl." She is literally trying to hand a human being away at the front door like a piece of broken furniture. It's unfathomable. So how on earth does a mother figure justify doing something like this? Well, she does it by completely stripping away Riya's humanity. Kamla justifies this horrific move by coldly stating that Riya is getting older and she absolutely refuses to waste any more money on her. It's a purely transactional mindset for her. In Kamla's twisted view, Riya was only ever valuable for the free labor she provided. The second Kamla decided she was a financial burden, she permanently discarded her. It is the ultimate betrayal of family bonds. As you can imagine, the immediate chaos at that door is just agonizing. Riya completely freezes up. She actually thinks it's some sort of sick joke, whispering, "Mom, what are you saying?" But Kamla just doubles down. She explodes in anger and actually shouts, "You're a burden." At this point, even Raju was thrown into a total panic. The guy just wanted a meal, and now he's protesting, terrified, explaining he's homeless himself. He doesn't even have a roof over his own head. But Kamla? She's a total brick wall. She ignores all logic, totally ignores the immense danger she's putting Riya in, and just demands that she leave the property right then and there. And that leads us to Section 5, a shift in destiny, the death of a relationship. Kamla delivers her final verdict with this brutal, cold finality. She says, "From today onward, this girl is not staying in my house." Riya is just standing there, basically thrust into the arms of a wandering stranger, with tears welling up in her eyes. She looks back at Kamla one last time, just begging for even a tiny fraction of a mother's love to show up, but Kamla literally just turns her face away. She finalizes the eviction without a single ounce of hesitation. Have you ever had that sudden, painful realization that a relationship you were desperately trying to save was actually already gone? Well, that is the exact crushing psychological weight Riya has to accept right there on that spotless doorstep. It wasn't just the shock of being thrown out into the street. It was this horrific epiphany that she had spent years fighting for a family bond her stepmother had killed a long, long time ago. She wasn't really losing a mother that afternoon. She was just finally seeing the relationship for what it truly was, dead. So we have to ask ourselves, when the bonds of family shatter so completely, what happens to a vulnerable destiny forced out into the total unknown? Riya went from a brilliant student with so much potential to an unpaid domestic servant to literally being handed off to a beggar, all because of the cruel whims of her captor. It really forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about vulnerability and how quickly the sanctuary we call home can become a trap. Take a second to really think about that and how fast a person's entire destiny can shift when trust is so violently broken. Thanks for joining us for this explainer. We'll see you in the next one.